We are ready to go into match number 1 of the day, which is going to be Glory versus blitzchung. Top of the board versus bottom for that Division B group.
Yes.
And we're going to see what is cooking with shields and bands. It looks like a priest and a shaman band out for me, and then the double warrior shield, which hurts my soul a little bit, as always, Derek.
Yeah.
For me, although I can't really argue with this newer build of Warrior, some of the players are bringing Glory, for example. You know, the main sticking out point to the Whirlwind Double Plague is just extremely kind of anti-aggro / anti-priest / anti-druid. It's just a good deck, and I think the more and more I watch people or listen to people talk about this deck and this style, the more and more everyone's like, yeah, this is actually just the Warrior deck you play now.
So this is very interesting because this deck, so far as I can tell, is pretty much a rip of Hunter Ace's deck from 2 weeks ago now.
Yes.
And Hunter Ace actually messaged me while I was playing the other day saying, my Warrior decks get worse and worse every single week.
Oh, really?
He said he doesn't know what's happening. He hates the Warriors he's submitting. He does not like this list. He's created a monster that he himself cannot destroy now.
It would be great. I'd love it if Hunter Ace just submitted a complete meme lineup just to make everyone else submit it the week after.
This was his thinking. Bucharest is going to be the easiest sweep because everyone's going to be playing like he's going to wait.
It's week 8.
You're playing Highlander aggro Warrior.
Yeah. Idiot.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's take a look at blitzchung's list as well. Blitzchung is bringing the Warrior, but overall, I do like, for him at least, the lineup in general, which is just the aggro stuff.
Yeah.
I know being predictable is something that came in more in Specialist, in my opinion,
Yeah.
but for this, I feel like if you're good at stuff, and especially for blitzchung's point, because he is bottom of his division, just play the stuff you're good at. Play the stuff you're comfortable with. I don't think taking risks in the way of, I'm going to bring this weird deck no one's ever played against, is a good idea when you just need to win. And I think blitzchung, although maybe his results don't display it, has solid fundamentals of the decks he is comfortable with, right?
Absolutely.
So playing the aggro, I think he's good. I think he slips a little bit when he goes for more combo control decks, but when he's playing aggro, he's solid. So bring your solid stuff when you need to grab a couple of wins.
It is a really interesting point you bring up because with the Battle Rift tournament that was happening over the last couple of days, Zeno is a player who was kind of going with a different school of thought to what you were just saying. He said he felt a little bit less comfortable than what some of the other players in terms of the amount of practice he'd put in. So he went for a slightly off-meta lineup, something a bit weird because he thought, if I play at their game, I don't have a chance, but if I'm kind of playing my own game, set the rules myself, then maybe they'll slip up because they're not so experienced against this.
And as we get into game 1, as I say, I actually fully respect that and think that's something that more players should do.
Me too.
But the only thing for him is, I believe he did it because he didn't practice much, because he'd recently been on vacation, and so had all his practice partners.
Good
so
point.
it was more because he's as confident with the meta decks as other players, say like Orange, for example, who came second, so congratulations to him, that's a really good showing. But what I would like to see is that thought process slotted in with practice. Whereas I think blitzchung has been playing a lot and he should play to his strengths. Let's get into it though. It's Warrior for Glory on the top, current Division B leader, going up against blitzchung at the bottom of Division B, but rocking the Highlander Hunter. Let's see how it goes.
Not only the Highlander Hunter, also the High Main, which he kept in his mulligan. This is
old school.
Yeah, this is like old school of thought. Yeah. This has been right since the dawn of Hunter versus Control Warrior. Do you think it's the way to go? Because while High Main has been included in a vast different array of Hunter decks over the years, do you think that keeping it in this somewhat aggressive Highlander Hunter is the way to go? Because when you only run one of each card and you only run like 2 1-drops in the deck, can you afford to be keeping 6 drops?
Okay, there's 2 lines of thought. Generally, I would say no.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it feels like Warrior has one of the best early games in the game, which is ridiculous since it's a control deck. Like, good job, Warrior. So it's got one of the best early games in my opinion, so it's very difficult to hold on to a late game minion. But in response to my own comment, I feel the secrets against specifically Warrior do the least maybe against any other class in the game. I think they had the lowest impact against the Warrior specifically. So if you're not not doing your mulligan for early game stuff with secrets, then that's what your early game is. So don't bother. Skip that and keep your power cards. Try and get the 4, 5, 6 turns strong and go from there. So generally, as a rule for Hunter, I don't like it. As a rule for Hunter versus Control Warrior, I'm not complaining too much.
I think I agree, because it comes down to what you're trying to do in the early game.
Like what secrets do versus this.
Yes,
filthy,
exactly.
Isn't it?
And if you're trying to dominate the early game, then I think mulliganing for, Zephyrus, Secret Keeper cards like that is necessary. But if you're just trying to keep up in the early game, I think the average draw of your deck, even keeping a high main, will keep up. It will still it will still not fall that far behind on board, which is what
on average
it would
on average it would be fine. Like,
exactly.
It would have to be like the worst draw in the world, because there aren't many more cards more expensive than high main.
Exactly, yeah.
Deck. But for me, like, honestly, and I honestly don't even feel like I'm exaggerating, but I do not remember the last time I had an aggressive opening versus Warrior that did anything. With any deck.
Yeah. It just doesn't work.
Look at their cards!
I mean, it's one of the main reasons why this is the third week in a row where there are no rogues in all of GM. The aggressive
what does aggro do right
It just does not get there. It doesn't get there versus Druid a lot of the time either, unless you're going for a more forward-focused plan like Zoo. But even then, I think Zoo is a debatable pick at the moment. blitzchung has, of course, finally managed to actually get a grip on the board. And he's got the pretty dream curve now to follow up with that.
I wondered if there was ever a reason to double trade and go for Ziliax, but this actually does a bit better versus everything, I guess. So my natural response was just get Ziliax down, but what this does is almost certainly allows blitzchung to land Ziliax on the minion itself or get away with a high main. Because what you want to do is you want to just dodge Dynamatic, right? I think there's only one in Glory's list. There's normally only one in this version, right? But you definitely don't just want to get blown out by Dynamatic in general, because that would suck. Yeah, there is only the one. Megadillo gonna come down, take the snipe, and be already dead, which is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
just get the one buff on Ziliax.
Pretty important, actually, yeah, because for blitzchung, I was wondering if we should go for the hero power instead of the snipe. But when you brought up Dynamatic, which was very important, it's good against that. And of course, Ziliax, it's all right against that. And of course, the potential of coin on Megadillo. I think the snipe was very well timed.
With the minions on board too.
Exactly.
And also, because he had Ziliax, you would have seen, even if it was somehow a big minion and a kill on the 3-3, well, he had stuff that like does the extra damage and gets the push from hand. So he could have, worst case scenario, just dropped a Ziliax into whatever minion got sniped. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, it actually just clears the minion.
And so I feel like the upshot of the conversation we've been having about one mulligan choice for the first 6 turns of the game is high main, probably on average, pretty good.
Yeah, I agree
out
now.
well.
Yeah. At least in this game, it's looked good.
Yeah.
Landed high main on empty board. Like,
it's huge. That's absolutely huge. And Glory, even with a hand literally full of removal, still in kind of a rough spot. It just doesn't line up well.
He's going to go for the shield slam. He could have gone for Ziliax. But Ziliax, I think, Ziliax is like wine. It gets better the later you leave it to be played, right? So the longer you wait, the stronger it gets. Whereas this, I think, is a completely reasonable turn. It's not great because you've left minions on board, but it's fine. Whereas now, this follow-up, though, is, you could argue, kind of the punish, because now there's not an easy way to actually kill this King Crush. There's Brawl, though, which odds on actually gets rid of it. But the world in which it doesn't.
There are so many ways you could have finished Ziliax is like wine. I was half expecting like, Ziliax is like wine. I don't like it.
Wine's alright, actually.
Yeah, wine's nice.
Brawl is going to be the choice. And there was a second there where I was like, it just lives. Blitzchung wins.
Yeah. And I think this is very clearly the benefit of blitzchung's game plan here, is if all the removal hadn't been in Glory's hand, it would be a wildly different story. But, I mean, while we've been focusing on blitzchung's decision-making so far more heavily this game, because I think Glory's had a fairly easy time of it so far. Glory just had the dream hand, right? He had the 1-drops, he had the mid-game, he had the removal. He
had the good early game, and then the Shakespeare issue of Warrior, to remove or not to remove is basically the only question he ever asked himself every turn, because he's had the ability to, and that's generally what Warrior does in this middle game. It's such a weird deck right now, because it's like you play 3 different styles. You play early aggro, you could call it, because they go 1 drop into 2 drop into 3 drop into 4 drop a lot of the time. and then they go into removal mode, and then they go into just late game value deck. So you play like 3 different styles across the course of every single game.
And it's interesting because that shouldn't be allowed. That should be illegal in Hearthstone.
That's not fair.
Right, exactly. And it's only like there have been decks where you can be ahead on board for the whole game, but it's difficult to translate that into a win because against control decks you just run out of stuff.
Yes.
And against the aggro decks it's often not quick enough. But because of Dr. Boom and all the removal cards, like you said, Warrior can just do everything at once. It can have 2 cakes and eat both of them.
Maybe.
Now.
No.
I think Glory might have to just put down the Ziliax this turn. Maybe with the Eternium Rover, make a trade and get rid of these 1/1s, or some of them. Because otherwise, we can see at least, I think blitzchung's hand does a really good job of supporting what he's got on board right now.
Yeah. There are quite a few ways Glory could have gone through with that there. We could have seen like Warpath, Ziliax, Whirlwind, and stuff like that. I think this was basically just the most efficient way to do this. I like this a lot. Ahead on board. I'm feeling in a pretty good spot. blitzchung, though, with the pickup of Unleash the Beast, does mean his Zul'jin is starting to get a little bit juicy. There's some good spells starting to be put into the pool there. Still no Hunter's Pack, of course, which I think... no, he's not running Hunter's Pack in the list. Okay.
You gotta make room for that high main somewhere.
Yeah, it's true. And a Desert Spear as well.
Yeah, Desert Spear is very good.
And Scavenging Hyena. Okay.
As crazy as this sounds, I think I would drop Eagle Horn Bow over Desert Spear if I was forced to pick one. Which is crazy because of all the secrets, of course. But Desert Spear is like...
Is it that good?
It just like beats aggro decks almost on its own. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things that whenever I play against it, I never pinpoint it as the reason why I lost, but it probably is the reason why I lost.
It's like a weapon that has Wind Fury but doesn't use up a charge.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, it only has 1 attack, but a lot of the time, 1 attack's just insane.
Yeah. And of course, so much more flexible than that. Like, if you look at Springport as 2 mana, deal 2 damage, it's so much worse than Springport actually is. The flexibility of the card is truly absurd. But this is the thing we see time and time again with Hunter is it gets to this kind of position where it's really a top deck war for both players. Like, they're both pretty low on value. Of course, blitzchung has a good amount of value with the Unleash the Beast and Glory with, the Omega Assembly. But the...
this is pretty good though, right? You can just Unleash the Beast, kill, command, trade.
The thing is that Warrior, it just can't seem to hang on for long enough.
Huh. I don't know if I like that turn.
Would you prefer just
Unleash the Beast, kill, command, swing the weapon. So what? You take 6, look at your health. And then you have a 5/5 and a 2/4. You push 2 damage.
Oh, that was enough, because it's a beast. Sorry, yeah. I'm an idiot.
And then you keep Ziliax and Unleash the Beast in hand.
Yeah.
Ziliax feels way more flexible than just deal 3. So he's effectively lost some damage because he kill commanded on bear, so to speak.
Fair, yeah.
Or maybe without a bear, because that would be a beast in proc. But yeah, I mean, Blitz just kind of achieved the same thing, but basically has the 2 Unleash the Beast in hand versus the Ziliax and 6 armor versus no armor, but I kind of like just having a 5/5 on the board. Like 5/5 and a 2/4, it's actually pretty hard to kill, along with the secrets.
As well.
Yeah.
Glory in a bit of a rough spot now, of course, in that he is somewhat a... has to just respect the Rat Trap so heavily, because he pretty much knows it's there at this point. And it means he can't go for plays like just tempoing out the minions.
Yeah, and funnily enough, very easy thing to say, but if Glory had Boom active, that turn would be very different.
Of course.
Like the Scrap Hound and then drop Nullifier on it. Oh,
insane.
Game stands.
Insane.
Just got to be wary of Deadly Shot though. Well, this turn's very simple.
Does he have to be that? I mean, I think at this point, like, Glory doesn't have to be that wary of anything. Because all those cards like that, as long as a card isn't Zul'jin or Zephyrus, he's pretty happy, honestly.
Yeah, I just mean he doesn't want to go too all in on a minion, right? He doesn't want to just dump everything into like massively stacked 1 minion.
Yeah, he could.
And also Freezing Trap. Yeah, there's Freezing Trap, there's Deadly Shot. There's a lot to consider. And I'm a little bit surprised blitzchung didn't play Animal Camp there.
interestingly enough, for Glory here, if he was looking at proccing the Rat Trap and clearing the board, there's no way to proc the Rat Trap before
and clear.
Plague. Right, exactly. So he has to, I think, maybe take another turn a little bit slower, trying to not activate it.
And I think it's why I like the Animal Companion instead of the Hero Power there. Blitzchung is... So what I'm not saying Blitzchung, what he's doing is wrong. What he's doing is spreading out his resources. He is going to the edges with the sandwich, with the fail-in. But because Rat Trap is on, I think I would have liked Animal Companion be like, yeah, clear the board. Can you clear it without proccing Rat Trap and clearing the rat? Probably not. Maybe push some more damage. If you draw Zul'jin next turn, which is a big if, but then Animal Companion's in the pool. So just different ways to approach it, that's all.
It is indeed. As Glory with still just held in place by these secrets, can't even move without proccing pretty much all of them. And that does mean that blitzchung is able to get a good chunk of damage through to the face here, which absolutely, if anyone knows that you push damage face here, it's blitzchung.
Yeah.
I would have been so offended if he'd killed off the Brilliant Nullifier there. Can't even tell you.
I would have left.
This is an outrage. I can't work in these conditions.
Game 1, match 1 of the day. Derek's walked out because someone traded into a Nullifier.
Honestly, it would be that bad. Still in that situation of not being able to proc the Rat Trap and clear, but I guess that's not necessarily so bad. I think Glory can stay in a situation where he can not proc Rat Trap for quite a long time.
Well, yeah, now he can just attack and do this, right?
Yeah.
This is completely fine.
Yeah,
it's going to Warpath into Plague and say, well, now you've got nothing. And now we're edging towards Blitzchung. Really needed Zul'jin.
Because for Glory now, as soon as he finds a Tomb Warden or, of course, Dr. Boom...
Yeah, it gets tough.
Yeah. That's not it.
It's a good one now.
It's okay, yeah.
He has to play this to, again, just defend from Dynamatic. Be a straight-up kill.
Sure, yeah.
No real reason why you wouldn't anyway, but I'm just saying the benefits of putting it down, the health adds up to more than 5.
Oh. Spring Paw...
Told you.
Oh, yeah. Caster's Curse there. Spring Paw could be used to upgrade the Scavenging Hyena later on as well. So I think that's worth holding on to just to try and get a Hail Mary bigger board.
However, this is going to make the health add up to 5. Well, less than 5. So it does mean Dynamatic's going to kill it off. And when you see turns like that, you wonder why people are only running 1. You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts that Dynamatic is a 1-of, because that card is overpowered.
I agree.
It literally is just insane.
It's one of those cards that's... Cards that are as flexible as Dynamatic should be slightly worse than the average card in every situation they're in because they're so flexible. Dynamatic is better than any other card in every situation, it feels like. It's insane.
So Dynamatic kills 5 drops and it's a minion.
Yes.
It's like, wait, what? This isn't fair.
It's what, Valspine Lash if you don't even have to combo.
Ooh, okay.
I guess you... Yeah, you probably just have to play this turn, right?
It's going to play something. Whether that's Mark Shot or Baited Arrow, Blitzchung can decide.
What can Mark Shot get that's good?
Dire Frenzy.
Is that even that good at this point?
Oh, yeah.
You think?
Yeah. Because he just wants... it's think about it, right? Of course,
it's just 3 more cards that are not Zul'jin.
But it's 3 cards that are pretty big beasts to just chain into. Look how struggling Glory's now, right? If you just keep chaining beasts, like imagine playing a 5/5 every single turn for the rest of the game. Like, that's just good, right?
Fair enough.
It's better than him having a Mark Shot in hand. There you go.
I will not disagree with that. So the other secret now for Blitzchung, apart from Rat Trap, is the pressure plate, I believe, right? That still has not been activated like Glory. Kind of impressive he's been able to play around it for so long. I think
Warrior... Well, it's kind of bad though, right? He's played around it because he doesn't have any board. So that's the thing. I think like whenever Warrior specifically procs pressure plate is when it can afford to, because it has board somehow. You know, it's not just played the raw removal game, so it's already kind of ahead anyway.
Oh, now we're talking.
It's tough now, doesn't it? But even press the hero power and not the the weapon project to kill off the 1-1. And I think that's fine. Glory's just maximizing health, but let's go.
There we go. That's the card blitzchung
No
needed.
deadly shots though, so the
That's
one,
true.
There's 2 Unleash the Beast, so I think it's certain that 1 survives.
Yeah.
So 1 will definitely be able to trade into this 3-5. Now 3-6.
Okay. This is pretty good, actually. Oh.
Doesn't end up making a difference. Oh, well, it does now, I guess.
This Zul'jin knows exactly what it's doing. All the secrets, of course. Wow, that was a good Zul'jin.
It was. No negative effects on blitzchung's side. And also the removal hitting the minions exactly and killing them off meant that blitzchung can retain health on one of the wyverns, which means that the AoE again is pretty difficult.
So what's the counterplay here for Glory? Obviously Brawl is staring me in the face right now.
Yeah, I think you just weapons project into Leok and Brawl.
So many choices.
Weapons project into Leok. Oh, yeah.
Proc snakes.
Yeah.
You may as well, right? If you're going to hit Brawl, you want to hit Brawl and snakes. Done.
That is 2 extra damage that you're taking, but is there any way you can win or at least stabilize the game without proccing snakes at all? Probably not. It has to come down at some point.
Maybe.
And of course, it's a higher chance that a 6 attack doesn't survive.
Right, and he's used 2 Warpaths, he's used a Whirlwind, so there's not
really
much AoE left, unfortunately. And with no Boom being able to use Kaboom or Microbots, then there's no way to deal with this, actually. He just loses if he doesn't make this play, I think.
Just always seems to be in this situation where maybe it's the builds of Warrior that are knocking about at the moment, like we're seeing from Glory here, where it's cutting back on some of the threats for more removal.
Yeah.
But against Hunter, they're just not locking down the board at all. Hunter can just draw its entire deck with no fear of dying at all. Which is not what Warrior needs to do. It needs to be making proactive plays more often.
And, excuse me, sorry. Oh, Glory log. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm just choking down the mic. I apologize. Yeah, Glory, we'll call it losing the Brawl because the best minion survived. But yeah, the difference for me, Hunter's one of the few decks in the meta right now that doesn't just have big turns to set up lethal. Hunter drip feeds damage throughout the whole game, whereas look at Druid. Here's a massive board. If you don't kill it, you're dead. But then you kill it and you go, oh, I've got to make another massive board. Look at Shaman, similar, and so on and so on. Priest, like no, there aren't many other decks that actually drip feed damage. True. Whereas Hunter just deals damage consistently, which how do you remove that? Like you can't. You just take the damage as the Warrior. Right. Which I think why I think that the matchup is pretty good with Hunter right now, because no other deck really functions like it in terms of how it deals damage.
I think I can agree with that. It's just the fact, again, that I think at any point along the way there, if Warrior had, say, a Tomb Warden in hand when the Armageddillo was played, maybe those 2 big minions would have just locked out the game. Right. Because there was a good 5, maybe even 6 turns there in the middle, where blitzchung was just doing nothing.
He was just there was definitely dead turns.
Playing the most pathetic turns possible. But it's only because they have the time to draw their whole deck and find Zul'jin that puts them in such a good spot. And you know, it's positives and negatives. If you put more removal in your Warrior deck, you become better against Priest, better against Druid.
Exactly. All the other decks,
against Hunter.
Honest,
and so I think on average, Glory probably had the right build of Warrior here, given the metagame where there's a lot more Priests this week in Asia-Pacific and still a lot of Druids.
Even Zoo runs dry. Right. If you remove Zoo a few times, it also deals so much damage to itself that it can't keep tapping in the current version of it, at least. So I think really Hunter is just the deck that sneaks by the new Warrior builds. But anyway, that's just game number 1. blitzchung getting off to a good start in a win he very, very much needs. We'll see if he can continue and take it over the Division B group leader Glory in just a few minutes.
Well known for their top-notch performance and long-time efforts in the local fan community. We've created a special and memorable Hearthstone-themed weekend.
万岁！龙石在地，我爱龙石，是我的大火球。龙石战绩，耶！龙石战绩，走啊！
Week 5, match number 1, game number 2, coming right up between Glory and blitzchung. blitzchung leading the way now with a good win with this Highlander Hunter. And honestly, although we may criticize this region, Asia-Pacific, about its extreme use of Highlander Hunter week in, week out, it has been getting wins, though. Like I have to check its win rate, but I'm pretty sure it's fairly positive at this point in the league so far in Season 2. And again, it continues to impress, and I do think with the way the meta keeps shifting, the Highlander Hunter not only is just a solid all-rounder deck, but also can beat some of these like new evolutions that we see coming out of the players.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of places where I've been too critical of Highlander Hunter. Like I thought it was terrible against Warrior. It's a small sample size, but in Asia-Pacific GM, that has clearly proven to not be the case.
Right.
It's been doing very well against the Warriors. Some of the points where I disagree is that it beats Priest, which I think is okay versus Priest. If you look at HS Replay, it's got a positive win rate. I think when you have Grandmasters piloting Priest, though...
Oh, different caliber.
Entirely different story.
And for me, I would only ever go as far, I think, with any deck, is it's not terrible versus Priest. It's about the highest praise I could land on any deck, apart from Priest. So, guys, we're getting it done early.
Oh.
I think we've been doing like one a week of this. Maybe
yeah, we
two
had
a week.
one last week, I think.
But we'll do it. It's a Control Warrior mirror. So, shall we pick a topic of conversation to talk about randomly? And in about 15 minutes, we'll get to the good stuff.
Yes, sure. I quite like
I'm being a little bit
guess
silly.
the rotations on the windmill. The answer, the question that will never be answered.
Yeah. One day when I'm really bored, watch that VOD.
Should we look at lists to see who may be in the lead at the start?
Sure.
Because I think blitzchung has a slightly more standard version of the Warrior with 1 Plague of Wrath, no Whirlwind in there, and a Mega Devastator as well. A little bit more meat on them bones in this deck list.
Yeah, that is true. There's a bit more stuff to do. My question,
One
I think,
assembly.
I think it's a question that's never going to be answered. Is having more stuff to play good?
I don't know.
Because every person I ask has a different answer. And it's tough. 'Cause even the players, right? We saw, Rivius has played this matchup incredibly slowly.
True.
Some players, I think Blood Trail, plays it quite aggressively.
Yeah.
And small sample size that is available, we can't really make too heavy judgments off that. But honestly, I just don't really know how you're supposed to play this to win consistently. And that worries me, because then my idea is, if that's the case, what impact do you actually have as a player on this matchup?
And it's a good point you bring up, that in this matchup we've seen two very differing schools of thought in play your stuff as soon as you can for tempo and hold pretty much everything you have until right at the end. And I think even if you're going for the game plan of save everything, be super greedy, get a quadruple buff with our Megadillo or something like that, even in that instance I would rather have more threats than more removal, because the ideal scenario with removal is that it cancels out with your opponent's threats.
Yep.
That doesn't always happen, whereas threats are always threats. Sometimes your opponent can't cancel them out and then you're hitting them in the face every turn.
Speaking of being cancelled out,
Yeah.
Mummy versus Mummy. It's a schoolyard fight. Now, again.
And they rise from the dead again.
And now there's just like Snip Snap just completely flown by, right? We're going for potentially, you could go for Snip Snap Stacks. There we go. Late game. But there was an option of saying, well, if I play Snip Snap now, what's the response? How does Warrior actually just kill a single Snip Snap? It doesn't. So maybe that was worth playing and getting some damage. Obviously, it gets better with time and when you can stack it 3 times. But it's just all questions that honestly I just don't know the answer to. And every time we cast this matchup, I feel like we just learn a different way to play the game.
It's true.
It's super weird, isn't it?
And it does, of course, come down in no small part due to Elysiana. I think we're seeing that more and more, actually, as time goes on, because in the old Bomb Warrior mirrors, it was more about when you played your Elysiana more than what you got from it necessarily, because obviously you could defuse a bunch of bombs and stuff. And a lot of the time it was over before you even got anywhere near that, because one player would just die to the bombs.
A lot of the time it needed the Elysiana to be very good,
yes.
as opposed to just put 10 cards in your deck.
blitzchung here spent the entire turn, I think, probably deciding his entire philosophy for the game plan.
Maybe even live.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's got the time in this matchup.
I mean, when you're 1-7, you have to start reevaluating something. But just, do you draw cards? Is this a matchup where you have the liberty to keep drawing and drawing and drawing, or do you hold back every single card draw effect and try and beat them in fatigue? I'm not sure.
There is some funny there's some interesting interactions where, so he could equip Super Collider last turn, not swing and just have it out of his hand. But what that does is open up comparison. My question is, are you actually happy if your opponent Harrison draws 3 cards? When can you fit 3 extra cards in your hand? So then,
it locks out Harrison.
Super Collider actually just completely safe to play?
Yeah.
Because I think I would have played it last turn. I would have just gone, I'll equip this, get it out of the way. It's a card gone, high mana count gone. Great. If you Harrison it, fantastic.
I think the answer against that is less Harrison, more weapons project. Because if they just override it with a 2/3 weapon, that's pretty bad. Because I think the Super Collider, can actually be pretty important in this matchup. When often brawls don't line up very well, Super Colliders can fill in that gap.
I feel like it's super hard to play though. Because when you get that 5 mana to play it, if you want to get at least 1 swing out of it, you have to play it into a turn that you're going to get benefit from it. And those turns kind of line up a little bit weird, I feel, sometimes. And funnily enough now, we see Glory went for Snip Snaps, so blitzchung did. It's like, okay, let's go. They're just matching each other at this point, which is kind of funny, actually. Like now, is Super Collider just good enough?
Oh,
yeah. I think it's just fine, right?
And I think at this point, blitzchung is trying to just find anything to play from his hand.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons
half
why...
of my point.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely worth considering. You're already throwing away a Warpath on a bunch of 1/1s.
Nope.
With the Plague in hand, I think it's reasonable to be a little bit more reserved than this. As Glory, now he's slowing down. I think if there hadn't been a clear for his Snip Snaps that turn, he may have considered going with the Tempo 2 Mordant. Now we're seeing things going back to a nice, more appropriate speed, which is about 0.1 miles per hour.
I'm so
I honestly think I could moonwalk faster than this, and I can't moonwalk. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. This is the gentleman's agreement. The Dr. Boom into Dr. Boom.
It's a good show, good show. These players are moonwalking so slowly, they're going forward. Town Crier could, of course, get Ziliax for an immediate buff with our Megadilla. Is something to consider, but I think we're seeing pretty clearly here any kind of a tempo play is out of the question.
Yeah.
For these players. Do you think at this point blitzchung regrets playing shield block? Would he have would he have been in a better position now had he just got Hero Power Pass and floated the 3 mana and kept it in hand?
I think he would have been in a better position if he just played the Super Glider.
Yeah.
But now it's the domino effect for me. Personally, I don't think drawing 1 card more than your opponent all game is going to lose you the game, right? I often don't think it comes down that much.
Yeah,
I think
enough.
if that 1 extra fatigue damage you take over your opponent loses you the game, you did something wrong that wasn't just drawing that card. But if blitzchung is then forced to draw another card at some point, or in some way, and then the fatigue gets bigger and more damage, well then you wind all the way back to the first time and say, well, did you need to draw? So if blitzchung doesn't draw extra cards throughout the whole game now, then I don't think it makes a difference.
But
it could.
Yes.
You know,
it could.
Yeah.
It's all little things that add up together.
But I honestly think maybe, we're subject to it a little bit too much and we do it too much. We just go, oh, it's 1 card deeper in the deck, he's losing, and it's like, well, really? Like, it doesn't happen that often where a player loses to exactly 1 extra fatigue than the other player. It really doesn't happen that often. It's more the sequence of events that leads you to be 2, 3, 4 cards behind, whatever, that is the problem.
All part to do with Macrobot and the Flunky Bunch.
This place is scary.
That's where I'm at.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I just smiled and nodded. I'm going to have to add to some of that good now.
Which clearly shows, I guess, how highly he values Super Collider. I guess in a couple of interesting ways, because Super Collider, the charges are good, and it also feeds back into what you were saying of my opponent drawing 1 card off of Harrison is kind of bad. Drawing 2 cards off of Harrison is kind of good for me, because them drawing 2 cards into Fatigue is something I think that blitzchung would like.
Yes.
Whereas losing 1 swing of Super Collider to a Harrison is something I think he would not like.
Yeah, because it's also, we have to then consider the impact of there being a Harrison on the board, right?
Yes.
Say Harrison came down on 3 charges, right? If there was a card that said, give your opponent a 5/4, make them draw 3 cards, like that card would be sick.
That's the control nuts.
Yeah, it would be insane.
Yeah.
But if it's like they kill a weapon and have a 5/4, well, suddenly you're like, okay, maybe this isn't quite good enough. Good hero power for blitzchung.
There's something here to making your opponent draw 2 cards and be able to destroy one of their minions as well for 1 mana. That sounds like a fun card to have in the game.
Boop. So it's just like,
Alright.
what was that for? It's kind of such an awkward minion though. Because honestly, how does blitzchung kill it if like Glory just stacks mechs onto it now? It's just weird, right?
Yeah. And this is where, you can, I think, more easily pull ahead in terms of tempo, is with magnetization. That's where Warrior starts to struggle, because with no executes, I believe, in blitzchung's list, and, if you have a Divine Shield on it with Ziliax, for example, even Shield Slam can just not be an answer anymore.
Well, even though we laughed at the boot, making it look funny, it's very important.
It's pretty important, yeah.
Because Plague of Wrath can kill it no matter what. So
then.
it will negate Glory, or not negate, but make him think twice about going deep on this save now. Because if you put Ziliax on his face, well, one, it only does 3, but also it just dies to a Plague instantly, even through the Divine Shield.
Love that you thing.
Glory here in that classic position we see in so many Warrior Mirrors, where you have so much stuff in hand that you can't play your Omega Assemblies, but at the same time he doesn't want to play anything. And so he does nothing.
Yeah, gets away. We're just playing a 1-2 there, Town Crier. And now we start, you know, as we're edging towards what, kind of the halfway point, maybe the third way point, we see that Glory's armor count is significantly higher. Yes, blitzchung just got the blast shield hero power fine, but you know, in general, Glory's managed to put a bit more pressure on blitzchung. Blitzchung's not got away with having so much armor, especially since he's already played a shield block too. So I feel like Glory is maybe just edging ahead a little bit, because now we're not only adding up blitzchung's a card deeper, Glory's got more health.
Yeah. It's got more threats in hand.
It's got more threats. We've just seen Harrison come down that does nothing, which you can argue whether that's good or bad.
Yeah.
But still, it's something that has happened. And more threats coming out for blitzchung means more removal that can be played by Glory. So I think just about now we're edging towards just maybe Glory being one step ahead when you add it all together.
I agree. It all makes a little bit of difference, every small thing together. Blitzchung does, of course, have the Armadillo, which is often the cornerstone of any kind of an aggressive push, especially as we have now 3 taunts in hand for Blitzchung. That's not bad at all.
You just do it, right?
Armadillo, hero power, yeah. That looks alright to me. But again, these players have consistently been playing incredibly slowly in these matchups.
I honestly don't think I could spin this deck.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's so dead set on getting a better Armadillo than this that he plays a taunt minion, therefore making it worse, rather than just getting a triple buff. I mean, you know, I can get inside try and get inside of the heads of the players to analyze what their thinking is. I know for a fact if I was blitzchung in that situation, you could not have paid me to not play Armadillo there. It would have been insta-slammed.
Or at least go for, say, Town Crier. Just dump it out your hand, hero power.
Does that still draw a card? I'm not actually sure at this point. I think there might still be
I want to say no, but if it does,
mummy.
well, that's the difference,
Yes, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know about this.
Just gets munched up, and I think that does, you know, whatever removal piece you're going for, whether it be Plague of Wrath or Shield Snap.
I actually think blitzchung might want this this safe to stay on board. It's actually really bad, isn't it, for Glory?
For Brawl?
Well, there's Brawl. If he attaches anything to it, he can Plague it instantly. It's doing nothing except taking up space. So, blitzchung's not clearly not trying to play remotely aggressive right now. So I think blitzchung is actually happy to have the safe on board.
I think with respect to Brawl, that's a point I can agree with. With respect to magnetization, if it's bad for Glory to magnetize on, he won't
But then the board goes wider.
Is it ever going to get up to 7 cards on board? Maybe. With
No. So I mean, like, if he's not going to magnetize, but he needs to play stuff, the board gets wider, which then further improves Brawl.
Fair enough.
Because it forces him. It's not only an extra minion.
I see your point.
It also makes Glory not magnetize onto it, so it makes the board wider naturally.
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Weapons project finally to break that Super Collider.
Yeah, the good hero power coming in for Glory now with the Livery Dress.
Nice too. This is the good wide board you want in this matchup, I feel. Just annoying stuff.
Absolutely.
Because any removal blitzchung uses on this is pretty good for Glory, I think, because this is just nothing.
You talk about the kind of good boards, like people talk about like good fats in food. Like, you know, you got good fats, you got your good wide boards and your bad wide boards.
Even that one mech is going to be responsible for what? 7 damage minimum. Like,
yeah.
It's not bad.
It's really not bad. And honestly, the little 1-2 may be responsible for not far off of that if blitzchung doesn't kill it off. So there's a little chip damage that really does start to stack up. Okay.
Play some cards. And this is why I feel like this matchup is not figured out, right? They're both, if you both sort of checkmate each other and be like, I'm not playing my good cards because you're not playing your good cards, that can't be the right way.
One player has to be wrong.
Yeah. So something's going on because blitzchung now is just letting himself get chipped away, which, yes, he's not taking a lot of damage really, but he's taking damage, and I'm not sure what is going to trigger blitzchung doing something. That's what and maybe I'm being stupid, which is highly likely in most cases, but if I said to you now, what happens to make blitzchung play cards? I don't know what the answer is.
I don't think there's much. It's Glory develops and he can play removal, but
it's like look at what was different this turn.
And that's such
last turn. It's weird, right?
It's such an important thing you bring up there actually, because if both players do this kind of game plan, it's almost impossible to know, but one of the players is making a mistake the whole time, right? The longer it goes on, where there's just nothing done, nothing done, nothing done. But say blitzchung is behind here, he's drawn an extra card, feels like he has less resources, Glory's kind of ahead on board for the most part. The longer blitzchung extends it, the longer Glory can mess up, the higher chance he has to make a mistake during the game. And also, of course, blitzchung could just get lucky with the Elysiana to pull his way back into the game.
It's just very interesting, and maybe I just need to do some more homework, but I don't really know what pushes the players in certain situations to make the plays they do.
Oh, well, yeah,
and
for sure.
I feel like this matchup is the one I know the least because it's so weird. And I've seen players do so many different styles. I'm like, will someone just pick so I can actually learn and sound better when I'm casting and not be like, hey guys, I don't really understand.
I think what we're seeing for the most part is that Blood Trail's school of thought when he was playing against, I believe it was Rivius, earlier on in Grandmasters Season 2, where he was playing super for tempo, Rivius was playing it very conservatively. That was the most lopsided game I think we've seen, where Rivius just felt very much in the lead that game, playing super
But also they were playing a mirror, right?
Mm.
Whereas this isn't a strict mirror in terms of the decks, which is a bit interesting as well.
Well, I mean, I think they're close enough to a mirror as the other two were as well. Like, the general game plan, I think any differences between these decks is pretty minimal.
I'm just meaning blitzchung is playing more minions.
More threats.
Which has to be something.
Yeah,
right? I'm not saying,
absolutely.
I'm not saying it should just change your game plan, but it has to be something. Because, like you said, it's more removal versus more minions. Or threats, so to speak. Okay, we've seen something played. So, funnily enough now, Glory has kind of become an aggressor through just certain discovers. Like, look at these boombots. These boombots, plus just a couple of 1-drops, has made Glory be able to keep making blitzchung remove the minions without doing anything. But now, he's committed to 2 more.
Is this really the turn for our Megadillo now? Like, blitzchung's waited the whole game for Tomb Warden. And obviously now he gets the Tomb Warden, right, is his thinking.
And he kills off one Tomb Warden as well. With the hero power.
Exactly. A good time
okay, fair enough. Is that better than Plague Mummy, or...? I guess this is a bit kind of overkill for Plague of Wrath right here.
What? I mean,
but Plague of Wrath just becomes worse and worse.
Yeah, what about... is Plague Mummy just good? 5 mana, clear this board, play a 3-2 with Reborn?
It obviously dies to weapon and hero power. But like, just playing out the Armadillo to die seems very much contrary to what his game plan has been thus far.
And what are you playing in this game? Yeah, I think I like this.
I think I like this too. Not playing the Mummy, fair enough. It dies to the hero power and the weapon. That makes sense to me.
His hero power was good.
Yeah.
Deal 3, take it.
True. Get the value while you can.
He just took 4 because of the bombs, so deal some back.
Yeah, Glory and blitzchung are lining up for a game of gun tennis here, with zap into zap.
Okay, then.
So now, surely Glory plays Tomb Warden. Does that make logical sense? If you played one last turn and it got removed without any, and then no development from blitzchung? Do you just play it again?
I don't think necessarily, because he played it, it felt like out of necessity, or so he felt at least. He wants to save as much as possible for Armageddillo, so I wonder if he's considering just Warpath here to clear out a card from hand. Or literally just burn a card from his deck. Is Warpath worth more than random card in deck? He's still got Armageddillo left, right?
There comes the Armageddillo. This is my worry. This gives the initiative for blitzchung to actually do stuff. Let me burn a shield block, okay. I think this is normally a very straightforward shield slam turn, unless I'm not seeing something else here. But importantly for me, I guess my thought was, if Glory just passes, does it actually... Is it a detriment? Like, how long do you wait for Armageddillo is my point, right?
Yeah. And this is something we've seen.
Yeah, the longer you wait, the minions are stronger, but are the minions actually just as strong or weaker because you've waited long enough for your opponent to draw all their removal?
Yeah.
You know, it's like... It's interesting.
And you're always waiting for something. You either have the Taunt minions in hand and you're waiting for Armageddillo, or you have the Armageddillo and you're waiting for the Taunt minions. It feels like it's so rarely a perfect opportunity. As I'm sorry, I was looking at the deck list. What was the burned card?
Shield block.
Shield block. Okay. Oh, so yeah, perfect.
Oh, it was a really good burn. Yeah, if you could pick, that's probably the card you get rid of.
I would agree. blitzchung here, embracing his aggro roots, and plays a card with 4 cards left in deck.
Hey, look, if you're
it's something.
If you just played Armageddillo, you're playing those things you just buffed, or I would have got angry. Alright, blitzchung, I'm talking to you after this match.
Raven's getting upset.
I we see Glory with just the Warpath and the Plague, and I think already you start to see the reasoning of keeping hold of the Warpath over card X.
Very true.
Oh, that's a good one actually.
Very good one.
It's kind of awkward to get rid of. Just a reminder as well, you can see it on screen, but of course Glory currently leading Division B 7-1, and blitzchung 1-7.
Yeah.
Those aren't just backward scores for the fun of it. They're actually the players' scores, and a win here would keep blitzchung in with a fighting chance of not being relegated.
That's right. Especially it will be a little bit scarier for Patra as well. Only 1 win higher.
Yeah, pressure
than
back on
blitzchung at the moment. She's just managed to eke out of last place, but like you're saying, blitzchung here, each win is getting pretty crucial actually, just to avoid relegation. You can't just rely on other players doing poorly. You have to save yourself.
I think at minimum, he would have to go 1-1 every week, right? You know, like because if blitzchung goes 0-2, I mean, you're running out of time. Whereas if he goes 1-1, at least his wins go up, because predominantly wins are what moves you up the table, not losses don't move you down. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Like if he goes 1-1 and everyone else and a few people goes 0-2, well, he goes up even though he lost a match, right?
Like if he goes 1-1-1-1, 0-2, Patra would have to go like 0-2, 0-2, 0-2.
Exactly.
Right,
it would have to be crazy.
Yeah, it would have to be very, very bad.
So it's very much. It sounds weird, but more about the wins and the losses.
Yeah,
which sounds
I know
really
what
stupid,
you mean.
but.
A lot of the removal for blitzchung finally starting to come into hand, and it makes you wonder what's he been doing this whole game. If he had all his threats earlier on, how come he hasn't threatened at all up until this one?
Oh, what if he just shield slam, Ziliax, attach?
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, I mean, so I've wanted to do for the last 15 turns.
I mean, we could even see Omega Devastator Ziliax
but I think you hold it, right? Because you're only really presenting one big Divine Shield minion.
That's true, yeah.
And you just keep Omega.
Yeah.
Like, Shield Slam's fine.
Yeah.
I guess he could use Mummy. I kind of like Mummy as a minion, though. Sometimes I think Mummy, especially in slow matchups, is good to just throw on the board.
I guess he's not using the Ziliax and wants to fit in the hero power, though.
Oh, I like making, what, an 8-10 Divine Shield Taunt lifesteal?
Better than that, because it's buffed.
Oh, yeah!
A 10-12.
I'm so confused.
Like, hero power? Oh, there's not even any Omega Devastators in Glory's list.
My question, right, and again, it's just all about mindset. Ziliax, great for healing up in the late fatigue turns of the game. You don't get to those turns if you just punch your opponent in the face hard enough. Like, it's going to come down to hero power brawl. Glory with the good hero power with the microbots making this pretty reasonable. And first out.
And, you know, here we go. To be fair to blitzchung, this is an outcome that was very expected, given that he knew what the hero power was heading into it. And Ziliax, in this instance, the majority of the time, would have just equaled 5 damage phase, which is a pretty low threshold.
This place is scary.
Pretty low outcome.
Living Monument, let's go.
Is that the pick? Infested Goblins, not a
Do
bad
you really
amount of
want
value.
more cards in your hand right now?
I don't hate it. Like, when are you finding the time to play a 10-10 taunt?
What? If you watch this game, Derek?
Things have changed
It's
now,
like-
though.
it's like the slowest game in
this
the
is entering
world!
the 3rd phase. This is like the boss battle in the World of
endgame?
Warcrafts, where it switches into its final form.
Oh, it's enraged.
Exactly. Now it's Elysiana mode.
I feel like that boss battle in WoW, the Elysiana mode, would just actually try and bore you to death.
Yeah.
It'll be like, I don't do damage, I deal boredom.
Heroic strike, heroic strike, heroic strike.
So, you don't know, I'm just going to tell you a funny story. Derek tried WoW Classic. It was like, oh, it's so boring, isn't it? You just heroic strike everything. I was like, right, yeah, but what level did you get to? I can't remember what you said.
I was like 6 or something, yeah.
I was like, well, you've got some other abilities, right? He went, well, no, I've just got heroic strike.
I've
I was
never
like,
played it before.
So you've not trained any abilities? He's like, no. I was like,
Well, I don't know, do
well,
I?
I'd be bored too if the game was a one-button MMO.
Right, I was literally just walking around clicking on a guy doing heroic strike. Turns out I was the boring part all along. Who'd have thunk it?
Your character's like, come on, mate.
Yeah.
Take me to a trainer. I can do more.
I can only strike so heroically.
So many times.
Okay,
It's like
then.
office assistants when all they get to do is make coffee. They're like, look, you just gave me some training. I could do so much more with my life. But you're just forcing me, pigeonholing me into this one role of heroic strike.
Yeah. Darek the Orc was clearly underutilized.
Did you call it Darek?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's kind of an orcish name
Have you-
anyway, right? It's quite like...
Only if you
imagine
spell
an
it
orc
rock
called
as in
Darek.
a rock.
Yeah. Guess.
Da rock. That would have been a good one.
That belongs
Am I just a really boring man? Is that what I'm realizing now? Right?
Yes. So, have you never made up like a name? A gaming name?
No. That's
Never.
that's why that's why I don't have a Hearthstone-y name. I'm just Darek.
Well, this is just Elysiana, finally. And here we go. Analyze.
Oh, Faceless? Faceless is so good, but so bad.
Faceless because you're going to get Brewmaster as well. From Elysiana. Imagine.
That would be insane.
Well, I think he picked it.
Yeah, he did.
Star Aliner, you're only 1/7 health away, minions for a good time.
Takes the mock shot
King?
instead. King Feoris with 2 brawls in hand? I'd take that. Anubisa?
Oh! Warbringer. Oh. The card's actually pretty sick.
It might be Safeguard though. If you're afraid of falling on the back foot, Safeguard obviously can protect you, but
Oh, no, you play it.
Warbringer's huge.
What does your opponent do?
Yeah.
They
I
leave
like
it up,
Warbringer.
it
I
hits
like
you for
Warbringer.
9. If you kill it, everything else hits you for 9.
Yeah.
Good time for a master
Wait,
plan.
if he picked Star Aliner,
Oh.
Blue Gale, I've died to that card turns.
History buff?
I think your history buff's
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
good
yeah.
card, right? That is one of the better Elysianas I've seen for a long time.
It was alright, yeah. A lot of big threats.
I've never complained about that.
Obviously, we need to point out as well that with the recent change to Discover, Elysiana on average has got a lot worse. You are less likely to find warrior class cards, which on average, as with all classes, are weaker than neutral cards. Yeah, as you can see, there are 5 neutral cards being found there for Glory. But it is
I'm disappointed.
an interesting decision there for blitzchung that he went for... Yeah, sorry, not Glory, blitzchung. Blitzchung went for a very defensive route with the Moshog Enforcer and the Safeguard. He's clearly going in with a kind of somewhat defeatist attitude, I think it's fair to say, that he expects to be on the back foot.
Imagine if we went Star Aliner and the Warbringer. He just buffs all his minions to 7 health. And it's like... Huh? That would have been the sickest way to win a
Just goes into the collection, clicks Anubis at Warbringer, and clicks Star Aliner.
game. Wait a minute, he's onto something.
Priest, garbage. Shaman, garbage. It's all about Star Aliner, Warbringer, Warrior.
Is there anything you could do to make that good?
No, there's nothing you could
Wait,
do
wait.
to make that good.
What about Darkest Hour?
You may be on something.
Oh, okay, I know. I'm queuing all weekend.
Wrench Caliber, insane. Omega Assembly, insane. Tunnel Blaster, I guess, for defensive options. You probably don't want Novice.
Is Flight Master so bad with you're on average having a lot of removal even just from your hero power?
That's fair, yeah, from your hero power too. Portal Keeper.
Rage Morgan.
For a new Elysiana that has a lower chance of getting warrior cards, that was insane. Omega Assembly and Wrench Caliber are two of the absolute best cards you can
and
get.
the Brewmaster as well, you know what?
Insane.
Okay.
Yeah. blitzchung now has the ability to copy Elysiana. Is there any way he can get that back in his hand?
No.
Any way? Are there any mechs he could get off of Omega Assembly to get that back in hand? There's nothing.
No.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so sick if he could. That would be
Imagine
so
that,
sick.
young mech master.
I mean, especially as Glory got the Brewmaster right. So if they just swapped it.
Well, more importantly, if blitzchung doesn't kill Elysiana, Glory draws a Brewmaster, he'll be like, ha-ha!
Or what's that card? Like the card that swaps the top card of both players' decks, like Mischief Maker?
Yeah.
Storm deserves a new ending.
Oh, goes for the high attack.
Imagine Glory's like, did we both get Brewmaster off him? Say it ain't so. I really like Shield Slam here. Maybe he wants to trade away these 1/1s to dodge Brawl. 1/1. Hero Power Shield Slam. Hero Power Face.
Yeah.
Oh, he's keeping the 1/1s on board.
I think even though you know there's a Brawl in hand, like... I'm not sure.
He does nothing versus a 2/14 Divine Shield and a 7/7, right?
It's true.
Like, what is the play?
Yeah.
I think he could have traded these 1/1s away.
Like, even if they did no... Even if he shield slammed afterwards, like, just purely to
And
get
look at
rid
the
of them.
hero power.
I think I agree, yeah. They just weren't doing it. They're like, 3 damage to face is not insignificant. Like, even just purely the fact they attack face is pretty good. But...
This is significant.
blitzchung is getting to the point where he could just make a board that Glory can't deal with.
Safeguard. It's going to be the draw, but... Maybe it's the frustration really now is, again, it's just another turn where playing into Glory's hero power means that Safeguard's just already dead. It's already... The first half of it is already dead, and the second half kind of sucks.
Born to die.
Although that Brillium, though. Never mind, not bad.
Oh, Glory getting into that position now where he just needs to turbo empty his hand. Get rid of anything he can to make room for these Omega Assemblies. And, you know, he can do that. If he just starts throwing out, I don't know, Armagadillo and... Could he throw in a couple of Warpaths first? He'd probably rather hold on to the Warpath for Plague. But I just really like... I love the position that Glory's in.
And he's going to hero power as well, right?
Sure, yeah. Or this as well. However you want to approach it, as long as he's just playing a threat every single turn, I like what I'm seeing. Especially as the longer that Glory holds on, he still has taunts he can draw to get more of a buff out of the Omega deal. Brilliant nullifier in hand for blitzchung. Does mean maybe we're getting somewhere with Faceless. Copy a big minion. Make an immovable taunt.
It's true, I think. What? I feel like a lot of the time in these circumstances, Faceless is always on an opponent's minion as well, right? It's normally like Faceless, remove the opponent's minion, go. It's generally used as a relatively cheap tempo tool when you have it in these weird circumstances. Wow, look at that recycler. Was that a 4/8?
Pretty chunky.
His friends call him for chunky.
Not today. It's like in the second half of Wall-E, instead of going up into space, he just got swole as heck.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
How many cards in hand now? Is that 9 at the moment? So Armagadillo, then Omega Ascendant.
Yeah, it was 10.
Oh, it was 10.
It was 10 because he hovered the Dillo, right?
Right, my mistake. Yeah.
So it was 9 post Dillo.
Yes.
9 PD.
I can never convert that to GMT.
Well, I was talking about a year and you were talking about time. I'm so confused.
Oh, you were talking about post-Dillo. You weren't actually talking about anything.
Yeah, like AD, but PD.
Anno Dillo. Sorry, my Latin's not as good as it once was. Anno Dio.
What was your Latin good?
All right, I took GCSE Latin.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You go to fancy school?
No.
What?
It was really nice actually. Like,
when you say no, do you mean just because there was a fancier option?
Well, I mean,
count yours as
it
fancy.
wasn't a private school. It was like, you know, it was an alright school.
Mine didn't offer Latin. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, it was the first year they offered it because one of the history teachers was just really passionate about it, and he did it as like a passion project. And it was just really nice, really small class. I mainly did it because I fancied one of the girls who was also doing it, but.
All right, now we know the real story. Whereas the most important language that my school offered was actually just how to speak English, which most people failed at, unfortunately, at my school. Oh, you know what? It's all right.
It's not bad.
It's not bad for, you know, just a load
That's
of
fine.
10 mana 3/5/5s.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I mean, for a single card
Exactly,
of a Belisiana,
exactly.
that is way above average. This is a card that demands an answer, which all of a sudden, Glory doesn't necessarily have. He's used up all his big removal options with the double play coming down, double brawl coming down.
It's why I'd like to see Feroris experimented a little bit more in some other decks. Because if you just... You less look at it as the high roll potential and more of it's one card that makes like 2, 3, 5/5s roughly.
Yeah.
That's just a good one card. And you've got the chance of high rolling, of course.
I think it's one of those cards that, like you say, is good in a lot more decks than we're currently seeing it in. It's just all the decks that it would be good in have a better thing it can do besides that. If you see what I mean.
We're going to see more of it as the expansions tick on, right? I think Feroris is going to be... Again! To do it again. Just like trade, swing.
Say the magic word.
I guess when you can't necessarily clear off the board, I think it's reasonable for blitzchung to expect to be able to play it into an empty board. So I don't mind holding off it because this very likely sets up for him to be in a position where he will be ahead on board.
Okay,
Then he
yeah, I
can
can see
rip.
that. Always scared of potentially being forced to play your spells
Yeah.
when you have Feroris in hand. Something that can be tough with Druid. It's like, oh, I have to Starfall. If I do, then my Feroris is worse.
Yeah.
So what order can I get away with playing Feroris or not, and so on, so on, so on.
This would be a good time for
Bottle
a
Keeper will
master
shuffle a
plan.
few 2/2s into the deck. When they are drawn, they get auto-played with Rush. In case you know what that card did.
It's one of the interesting scenarios where you'd really, really like for it to not draw a card at the same time. He could get himself in a position where he shuffles them into his deck and then stays at 10 cards, which then it would not draw. It would just be an overdraw effect, right? Which basically means he would be adding 3 cards to his deck if he's at 10 cards.
Drink with me, friend.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. So if
Yes,
he just
it just
plays Omega Assembly in the next couple turns, this could actually be a huge fatigue. He could just add like 12 cards to his deck.
That's true. That's true. I was just about to say, I think blitzchung is actually in a really good position
I think so too.
at this point. He actually has stuff to play.
Yes, and I think that's blitzchung's edge is aggressive. He should try and go as quick as possible to close out the game.
I think I would just slam this nullifier so fast and whack him in the face.
Nullify their existence.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. Do you remember the nullifier, the early one for drops? The untargetable.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it killed one round.
Oh, is that
like,
a card?
oh.
Is
Almost every
character.
character. Yeah. I killed Leopardgnomes. So I was in Nomergan,
yeah.
which is the gnomish city that's overrun.
Got that for an Omragan.
Yeah, there's Leopardgnomes in there. There was the nullifier, arcane nullifiers. It's cool.
Wow.
Throwback.
I'm so glad they finally took my advice of making a Hearthstone MMO. Is he going to do it? Is he going to go for the overdraw strategy? It's just good, right? Would you rather overdraw cards and prevent fatigue and have less resources?
But But the resources aren't...
You're removing value from your deck, but you're doing
the
it
value's
to
2
prevent
2s,
fatigue.
right?
Well, it's a 2/2 if you draw that. You may draw the other cards left in your deck.
True.
And it's still value.
Wait, there aren't that many though, right?
There's not that many.
There's only
no.
like 2.
Yeah. Well, he got 2 rushes there, right? Which means he has 4 cards left in his deck.
6 in, yeah.
So he's got 3
he's got 3 then.
non-2/2 cards left.
Did bounce the Omega Devastator as well.
True.
Just slam Ferris.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just get it down.
You
might need these brawls, you might play this Warpath or whatever, just play it, get it out and say, yeah, Glory, you're going to have to play this board, mate. Oh! Alright.
That's pretty good. Even the Luna, which technically a downside on the effect there.
You can play around
he
that
can
very
play around
easily,
that pretty easily, yeah.
And also, it can just be the first minion trade in, right?
Yeah.
And get rid.
Warpath able to pick this up.
It's a whole turn, though. I mean,
Yep.
blitzchung can just go again. History buff into the Shredder.
Is it enough, though? Because for Glory, the tempo of these 2/2s, even ignoring the strategy you could go for of overdrawing them, it's just pretty good tempo to fight back on board, actually.
Double history buff with the oh gosh.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's still the buffed Ziliax. There's
That's
still the buffed
true.
Rusty Recycler.
That's true.
Wally's gonna just crush this game.
This would be a
Glory's
good
just
time
the
for
evil
a
robot in the
master
ship.
plan.
And the Recycler's like, just let me add a blitzchung.
Yeah, the end of the movie is not a heartwarming tale about the terribleness of big corporations, just Wally crushing all the bad guys.
Wally 2. It's like, well, sorted out humanity. Now to beat up some nerds.
Wally 2, oh no, I have a good catch here, I can't say.
Tell me later. Well, the doggos are on the board.
Yeah, Fellhounds are plenty here.
Did my quest to get my Fellhound too, and well,
Oh, really?
horrible
Are these
quest line.
Fellhounds?
They're close enough, yeah. Fellhound's normally red.
Fell
They're
pups.
the one you get, but
Yeah.
well, Fellstalker, I think it's called. Is it called
Ah,
Fellstalker?
maybe,
I think
yeah,
so. Anyway, horrible
Oh.
quest.
Okay then.
I think that's one of the few things I did actually defeat. Is the starting area, I guess, like
Yes, you would have done, yeah. Remember? Do the one we have to beat the peons with the stick because they're falling asleep.
Yeah, that was quite fun actually. Right, blitzchung with undeniably behind on fatigue. Having to make one kind of a final push here, and I don't know if I'm seeing it.
He kind of is and isn't though, right? Because if Glory just goes like dog dog and then draws his last card, then...
But he's still got a second Portal Keeper, right? Because the first one he
Good time
bounced
for
and
a
played it
master
again.
plan.
Oh, so is his last card a Portal Keeper?
I don't know if he's got 1 or 2 more cards, but he has a Portal Keeper left in deck. So he can just go Portal Keeper Assembly, 3 more
Go to
cards
10.
he's got in his deck.
If he sees that,
I'm
I'll be impressed.
pretty sure Glory's going to see this one. Yeah. I'd
'Cause
like to toot my
it's
own horn and
definitely-
say that's incredibly next level, but
No,
I
it
think
is.
you'll
It is.
see.
It's not an intuitive play, is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
It really isn't. And honestly, most people don't really practice this kind of matchup that often.
Yes.
No sane person sits
No
down
one.
and goes, let's play Warrior Mirrors, but let's make sure we go to Deep Elysiana every game.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. He has a couple of turns to do it, yeah. He doesn't have
That's
to do
right,
it this
yeah.
turn exactly.
Yeah.
Just gets 5/9 on the board.
Okay. I mean, I have to be honest, I was looking at like Wrench Caliber, Hero Power, and then you can keep swinging face, but
It's always going to be able to happen though, right?
this works absolutely fine. And yeah, as we can see here, staying at 10 cards in hand,
What?
he knows exactly
So-
what's up. He's doing it in advance.
So 2 minutes ago, I thought Blitzchung looked better with his threats. What
Yeah.
happened?
It just
What
wasn't
happened,
enough. Even in the post-Elysiana fades, they still just go trade for trade, trade for trade. It's who can make more stuff happen. And it looks like Glory was able to make more stuff happen. You know, there's stuff that Blitzchung could have done differently. Maybe we're talking about trading in the 1/1s early on. Maybe copying the Moshog instead of the Elysiana with the Faceless. Maybe picking more aggressive options rather than defensive options.
And there you go. You see the interaction you mentioned. 10 cards.
Yeah.
Overdraw doesn't means he doesn't draw again.
And of course, it does not activate the card, so
So-
it does not draw.
Yes. So for example, you could go Portal Keeper, weapon, and then Omega, and still overdraw, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But
Well, he's got 2 Omega Assemblies, so this turn he can go Omega Assembly to overdraw the last card. Then next turn he can go Keeper Omega Assembly again.
And he can also just wait, because him hitting 1 fatigue... Oh, there we go. Glory going to the max.
This is a 7-1 scoreline play right here.
It is actually very good. I'll be honest, I didn't really consider it. And it may not have... I'll say this. It may not have directly just won him the game, but it is very much secured that game down. It's like, in Glory's bar, this game is bolted to the floor so no one throws it around. Like, and that's what I feel like that play's done. It might not have been like, wow, we just won the game because of it. Well, I think he's not going to lose because of it, and that is pretty sick.
Absolutely. I mean, just look at the difference, right? Glory has not taken a single tick of fatigue. I think blitzchung is about to take 4.
3 or 4? Yeah, I think he just took 3, yeah. And he could just do it again.
All the difference in the world.
Wow. And the best part is, Glory's actual plays aren't that bad either.
Yeah, they're fine.
Like, he actually has good cards, and he can do the Pole Keeper. Pole Keeper Brewmaster. Who would have thought it?
Yeah, I know. That can be added to the second tier 1 deck if you've got Star Aligner, Anubisath, Warbringer. Portal Keeper Brewmaster.
And I think now, if blitzchung knows what Glory has left, which he should, blitzchung should know every card in Glory's hand, apart from the Omega Assembly ones. Because he's seen the single copies of everything else from Elysiana, blitzchung could quickly just add these hands up and be like, I've lost this game.
Yeah, it just does not get there.
This could just be a concede, right?
Yeah. I think there are a couple of big things that you have to factor into this game. Obviously, number 1, shield block right at the start of the game for blitzchung. I think we can agree that was probably just a mistake with how the way the game shakes out. It's not even being results oriented. What could have done differently that would have made shield block good? Like, it's always going to fatigue this matchup, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I guess so. I'd have to look back at the exact
of course.
But again, it's hard because of the way this game's played out with the Pole Keeper. But like, has 1 fatigue turn extra made a lot of difference in this game? Is my question. Is that as simple as you described that play or not? Is it more complicated?
I actually honestly think that maybe from blitzchung the extra turn of fatigue didn't make a difference, but the fact that Glory, in addition to his spell house, which is extending his own fatigue, I think it does all add together to mean that blitzchung is just unable to deliver a strong enough aggressive push to get there.
I think my biggest things were, I feel that there were points where blitzchung did not maximize the value of, or the potential value of his cards.
Sorry, no, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I honestly think as well, blitzchung could have picked different cards.
Yeah.
Without the memes, I think
agree.
the Anubisath War Dude, it's a 9 attack minion that buffs all of the minions in your hand with +3/+3. That's insane.
Even if it just buffs 2 minions.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Especially well, you have 2 of them.
In hand.
Yeah, and you have 2 of them.
Yeah.
I thought, like, I don't know, if I view Elysiana as value, and to me that card screams value, even though it might feel a bit clunky. The Star Aligner thing's a meme. Okay, I'll give you that one straight away. But the Anubisath was like, I think that was just a good pick.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think blitzchung, it's not even the fact that Portal Keepers came into effect that changed his mindset. I think he should have realized at that point he is the aggressor. Defensive, low attack, taunt options, I think were maybe not what he should have been moving towards. Whereas, again, it comes back to that shield block. Even being 1 card further ahead in fatigue kind of means he has to take on the role of the aggressor, in addition to the fact that he was the first player to play Elysiana, which means he can turn up the gas first.
So, like, if you really stripped it down to just base mathematics, he becomes the aggressor because if he isn't, he should lose on paper quicker. Right? He dies quicker in a very basic flat math level because of fatigue, because of Elysiana first.
That's it.
Boo-hoo, I have to have 2 free 2/2 rushes as Glory. And while his own Ziliax is not quite as swole as the other, it should, I believe, still be able to get the job done.
He's got 2. You could just Ziliax.
It's
go.
True.
I mean, why not?
I'm you, but stronger.
It's just like, films where you find out at the end you've actually got a clone. Like, oh, it's a clone all along. Or it's like the Prestige in the Twins.
Oh,
spoiler, sorry.
That's actually a huge twist for a
Yeah,
very good film. Yeah.
Oh, one of my top 3 films of all time, I think. I tell everyone I know that hasn't seen it to watch it. It boggles the mind in the best way.
And David Bowie's there because why not?
Just cause.
Yeah.
I'm out of cards.
As we are nattering on about our favourite movies and whatever else, because it does appear quite clearly Blitzchung's locked out this game.
GG. And what you've got to see as well is that, yes, it's not as simple as I'm about to state it, but even if Glory was on the same fatigue as Blitzchung, Glory just has better and more stuff, right? Imagine if Glory's taking 5 damage this turn. Imagine if Glory has 0 armor. Glory still wins this game, right? So even though he did some very nice plays, like I said, that the Portal Keeper, you know, the burn, that is just top-level knowledge and understanding of how the game works. Actually, to know, because that is not intuitive whatsoever.
Because he had to keep the Omega Assemblies to get to that point, which were playable for the vast majority of the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, he probably wasn't holding them for exactly
No, but then at that point he held them for it, right? Because
Exactly,
every turn he played an Omega
adapted.
Assembly, he went to 10.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice play, and this is, I don't know, trademark Glory in Season 2, I think, has just been solid. Season 1, I felt Glory was very much up and down in terms of performance. Season 2, though, good decks, good play. That's all you need.
Yeah, I think when Glory was playing badly, it wasn't misunderstanding of matchups or metagame knowledge. He was just huge blunders.
It's execution.
Like, exactly, he was just messing up, which he's doing something right to not get to this point. Maybe it's just the fact that he's at a 7-1 score that gives him the peace of mind necessary to play at his best.
Yeah, a lot of players in GM have talked about the stress
Oh,
of
yes.
being in this situation and how much pressure it puts on them as Hearthstone players and pros. Glory, impossible for him to be relegated, I believe. So there aren't enough matches left, right? He literally can't go
7-7 is the worst score right now.
Yeah, which wouldn't relegate him because
that
he has to have had a good tiebreak as well. Because he's beat everyone else.
It's true.
So yeah, I think it's impossible for Glory to be relegated now. So he can just focus on aiming high as opposed to keeping head above water.
That's right. But this does not necessarily, despite the fact that this second game in the series is over, mean that Blitzchung has lost.
Nope.
1 and 1 apiece after a very strong first victory and a very slow and painful loss in the second game of the series. As Glory does not look like the series. Blitzchung is still able to take the victory here and equalize with Patra in terms of the number of wins.
Yeah, still got a chance as there's one more game left, but I think if anyone looked too exuberant after a Control Warrior mirror, I would call them some kind of machine and not human in any way, because no one doesn't feel a bit like after a game like that.
I would call them a doctor at that point because there's something wrong with them if they're happy after
Oh,
playing
right,
that.
I thought you meant you would call them like you are a doctor.
One of the ambiguities of the English language.
I was like, wait, what?
You're a
Make
doctor.
any sense? Right. Thank you. But yes, the players, Glory has Combo Priest and Zulok left with his Shaman banned out.
Right.
And Blitzchung has his Warrior that we just saw he'd take a loss on. And his Zulok. So for me, interesting. I think I struggle to have Priest in my lineup and not be banned and not want to queue it.
Yes.
Which I think is a big point for Glory. But in knowing that, Blitzchung can queue Warrior and feel pretty confident. Also, I believe Zoo is definitely not the worst versus Priest either. Yeah. So maybe Glory feels like Zoo's better versus the combination of a mirror match plus Warrior. I don't know. I think this might be a bit of a tricky pick for Glory and very impactful for Blitzchung.
I can see your point that it does come down to mind games definitely at this point here. I expect to see Priest versus Warrior here.
That's what I would expect at level 1. Yeah, unless someone goes crazy.
And I think Blitzchung, given that he has 2 good matchups, I would say, versus Priest and Zoo, Blitzchung, as we just got confirmation, it is Priest versus Zoo. Glory could get some kind of an advantage out of maybe mind games and go to the Zoo, but I think given that he expects so heavily for Blitzchung to go to the Warrior, I would rather have Priest versus Warrior than Zoo versus Warrior.
Yeah.
So it just kind of works out.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, it's always tough to not want to play Priest against anything because whatever people tell you they're lying, stuff isn't favoured. Priest can just win. I talked a lot. I was in a Cantaloupe stream I watch a lot, so you should check it out. And we were having the chat and him were having a discussion just about Priest. And it wasn't even super salty or anything. It was literally just why does Priest win as much as it does? And why is the deck good? Because it's easy to, oh, because it just kills people. It's like, well, no, but why? Like, what makes it work? And really, for me at least, the root of it is because of the low curve of the deck, you get pretty good mulligans quite often. And you can mulligan pretty hard because even its worst mulligans, outside of an all-spell mulligan, aren't that bad. Right, look at this mulligan. It's not good.
This is a bad mulligan.
Yeah, but it's not, he's not just lost,
fine.
right?
Yeah,
it's not the end of the world. And the biggest point is if its mulligans aren't terrible and its good draws almost auto-win games, you have an inherent built-in percentage of just winning games against anything. So it's very interesting, although blitzchung, as we get into this deciding game, has a fantastic mulligan. Double one drop, a mummy, a weapon, even like, you know, the super glide is actually pretty solid. A snip snap!
Oh my god, this is perfect mana utilization up until like turn 6 that we're seeing here. That was
which is normally the end game versus priest.
Right. This is the god draw top deck as well from blitzchung. This is this is the kind of hand the warrior wins in their matchup, because I think you would be I would accept an argument for the matchup being 50-50 either way if you got a good build for anti-priest as the warrior. When the priest draws like this and the warrior draws like this, however, that is absolutely not the case. Glory has got far too many spells for this matchup. You do not want these spells. You do not want them Sam I Am. You want High Priest Amit, High Priest Amit, the Psycho Pomp, Injured Blade Master, Tolvir, just your threats. You just want to be constantly pressuring.
Yeah, very interesting play from Glory. He can heal, so he's healed the minion up, so he buffs his Light Warden, and then silence the Eternium Rover, so that actually now Glory's put himself in a position that we can see will be shut down like there's no tomorrow, but he put himself in a position where this was forced because the Light Warden actually trades for both minions on board. So whilst obviously not a game-winning play, is a good play in a bad situation.
Absolutely. You have to start doing something to churn through the Warrior's removal. And these are the kind of cards that possibly could do it here for Glory.
So with the difficulty with this deck, because this deck is not easy to play well, I think
absolutely
this is probably one of the strongest cases in the history of Hearthstone, with a deck with such a high skill floor in that you go in even at basic level and can win a lot of games because of the sheer raw power of the deck, but an extremely high skill ceiling because you can be extremely good at this deck and it will up your win rate a lot.
Absolutely.
So with this now, do you think coin is going to be used for this sidekick? Or do you think Glory already is locked in coin Bwonsamdi?
I think this has to be coin Bwonsamdi here, especially as an extra coin here kills off a 1-2. Is that really worth it when he's quite clearly going to top seed the Psycho Pomp in order to make sure it survives?
Right.
And then next turn he can go, I don't know, extra arms heal, coin Bwonsamdi. That's the play he has to make to win this game.
Okay.
I think.
Because the other way you can go, definitely not saying it's the way to go, is if you coin into sidekick and then you set up extra arms because you should have won the board by then. There's a way that Glory could maybe go for some mid-game pressure, but now we see just Glory holding everything back now, letting blitzchung have his way for now, but then having coin Bwonsamdi soon.
Yeah, it's
he hopes at least.
It's looking very grim here for Glory. He does not. He's not out of the game. There's always the possibility when you have Bwonsamdi that you can go Bwonsamdi, draw Amit, and go super wide on the board with Amit plus a bunch of 1-drops. But as he is drawing more of his 1-drops, and blitzchung obviously has the brawl as well, I think this is starting to slip away from Glory here.
Even now, it's just Dynamatic with a trade with the mummies.
Fine.
Not perfect, but you end up with a 3-4 and a 1-3 on the board.
Alternative is Hero Power Shield Slam. I think I like trying to build up your armor a bit first, then save Shield Slam for something a bit more.
Yeah, I just like Dynamatic here.
Yes.
Just get another minion on the board. It's like, it's good.
And this is where things feel very different if you compare this versus the Hunter when compared to the Priest. Because against Hunter, if you have these size minions on board, they can start value trading. They have CMAT, they have Unleash the Beast, High Main, all that good stuff. Priest have no rushing minions or anything like that. You dictate every single one of the trades.
Yep. And there's Zilly Axe.
Very, very powerful. But Glory, of course, with double Cleric, 2 of what is often touted as the best card in the game at the moment, the most problematic card in the game as well. He's never out of the game. He can wrestle something back here. blitzchung wondering if he's allowed to just go face it? He has seen a silence.
There's only one in the deck.
Yeah. Even then, no, I think you're
Don't
begging
bother.
for trouble.
Don't
there.
bother.
Yeah.
The times you leave a minion alive are the times I've seen people lose.
Yeah. If you just kill everything.
Like the literal,
win.
the real core problem I think with Priest is that you can just lose versus it if you left one minion up. One minion on the board gets to attack, you might just lose, and that's just the way it is. So don't. It's like old Zoo, right? If you never let them keep a minion on board, you never lose the game.
Yeah.
You can trade, and you just never lose the game. Whereas if you try and get fancy and get greedy, that's when you lost games versus Zoo. That's when you lose games versus Priest.
And I think it's still possible here for blitzchung to be outvalued by Glory, given that he's just played the Born Sambi and just resurrected the Born Sambi as well, which is a huge deal. But I agree, it's more likely to go wrong by just being hit with double inner fire.
Yeah. Divine Spirit.
Divine Spirit. Yeah.
The card that I feel needs the nerf out of everything.
Yeah.
I think if we could get one nerfed, it would be Divine Spirit for me, not Cleric.
That's the one thing.
Yep. That's what my campaign is anyway.
I mean, I've made my campaign well known. It's just reworked Priest. Ground up. This is rotten to its core, in my opinion. Okay. We were talking about outs back into the game. This is it. This is the chance for Glory to turn things around.
And when you know, looking at just this board state, with saying Priest still has a chance, you know it's a filthy, filthy deck.
How many cards are we even looking at drawing here? It could be like...
And this is the difference and power level of this version of a matchup. Is now we have to say, does Glory's like 13 cards in deck and his hand beat blitzchung's like 5 cards? Because that's often the case, right? The Priest can just draw their whole deck and you say, well, yes, I might be weak right now, but does me being able to play my whole deck in 2 turns beat your 2 draws in 2 turns?
Glory here did not play his High Priest Amet with all his 1-drops, and this is one of the things I've realized I run into a lot with Priest, is you don't actually have that many cheap minions to buff with High Priest Amet. Given that he's already played 2 1-drops at the start of the game, 2 of these have come down now, he only has one 1-drop left, and outside of that, there's not that many things you want to buff.
Maybe he thinks that he can get away with not going too wide with the Amet, because just going wide into Brawl leaves 1 minion up anyway.
Absolutely.
And also he does have a Light Warden, he has a Neferset, he has a Blade Master, so next turn he could just Amet, Blade Master Neferset.
Does he think this baits out a Brawl? Is that his thinking?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Because that's it, right? I think what Glory needs to think about now is it's less how does he win generally, and it's can Glory be the total of the 5 cards in hand plus maybe 2-3 more draws with his whole deck. Because that's what he's got to do, right? And this really tests the chops of your knowledge in the matchup like this, because this is a hard game for Priest to win, but I bet some Priest players could. If they do it perfectly.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, is that High Priest Amet there, I think that not playing it there didn't really bait a Brawl, and it didn't really present a board that was threatening enough.
So we can create 3 14 health minions right now.
And if you're ever going to do that, this is a reasonable time to do so, right? Because your opponent has minions in play, so if they brawl, it's kind of bad for them. And if they don't brawl, you can start value
The problem is, I think if he brawls and you don't win, you'll just lose. Right? He has to do something.
Would you take I'd take a 50-50 to have a chance in this game.
Yeah. I guess I'm just making statements now. I'm not saying he shouldn't do it. It's just if he brawls and you lose and Glory loses, Glory probably loses not only the brawl but the game, because he has no Psycho Pumps.
Yeah.
He has no other minions to play,
absolutely.
right?
This is like the final frontier now for Glory.
Like Star Trek.
Yeah, no. I was thinking of another word.
Oh, okay. He's only going to do 7 healths. He's not going to go Divine Spirit. Interesting. What do you make of that?
I'm not sure. I was definitely looking at just going for the...
Because he Divine Spirit plays the Neferset instead of the Blade Master.
Because this is not an invincible board. Like with High Priest Amet, you can very quickly get to the situation where it's Brawl, Plague, or nothing. Like just nothing else.
Warpath just clear
this
this
board?
board?
Just triple trade Warpath seems perfectly fine. Because with both Psychopoms gone, Amet gone,
I don't understand that turn. I think he had to Divine Spirit. Because
He gets the buff of attack, but I'd much rather have a 14 health guy than a 7 attack guy.
And it doesn't matter, does it? It does, like, the attack on the minions doesn't matter because Glory only wins with Divine Spirit in a fire. Let's go.
Like, this dies to Warpath, Plague of Wrath,
Brawl, you could argue.
Brawl, yeah, most of the time. It's kind of weak even just to like an Omega Devastator.
And the best part is he can actually often make a Brawl in his favor as well, right?
Yeah.
If he has one damage source and trades, his minions don't die because they're on 6 health.
blitzchung has got to hurry. If you want to play the Warpaths, you've got to get a real move on. Wow.
Oh! Remember when I said? Remember when I said if you leave a minion up, you might die?
Yeah.
This was bad, I think. Why not clear the board? What else does Glory have? No Psycho. He's played 2 Psycho Pumps, right? Am I going crazy?
Yes, yeah, he's played both.
He's played 2 Psycho Pumps. He has an Acolyte, a Nephroset.
Yeah.
I'm already running out of minions in my hand.
I think that was worth a clear there.
He's got 7 cards left. He has 2 Inner Fires, 1 Divine Spirit. That's 3. I think he has. He's used 1 Circle, right? So he has the other Circle in hand. Yeah. He has what? Another Powered Shield, maybe? Another Pyromancer?
Yeah.
Like he has.
Because this is where things go wrong.
He has nothing. He could be dead this turn, right? Or at least okay, he could be dead next turn.
I think with Silence gone. Yeah, next turn. Is,
yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Where he could be running into some scary territory.
But again, I think he needs to double someone's health. Because with this Dynamatic up, he's still weak. Maybe an Arms is just enough on something.
I don't know.
Maybe you just Arms the Light Warden and just...
Huh? He's afraid of so much here. Both players are. They're both like playing around too much. It feels like.
Okay.
Here we go. This is
I like it. I like it. You just got to.
And I think he can make the read. There was no Devastator. If Devastator was in hand, surely it would have been played last turn, right? Surely.
Well,
here we are.
We've seen this before.
I think this is a situation that blitzchung did not need to put himself in, where he is in what appears to be a 1 in 5 to lose the game.
My question.
A 1 in 4.
So my question: did Glory need to play Acolyte? I guess that's question. Ah! What? Look at Glory just laughing.
The only appropriate reaction here. And honestly, blitzchung, this is the disaster outcome for him. But I think we can both agree that should have died. This cleric should not have been allowed to have the chance to win the brawl.
Lesson 1. If you can kill all the minions, especially post-Psycho Pump.
Right, it's the Psycho
Kill
Pumps
the
that's
minions.
Yeah.
Get them dead.
Because Glory doesn't even have any draw. He's played
both
clerics, 1 Sandy.
Powered Shield.
Both
1 Powered
both
Shield,
Psycho Pumps as well, yeah. What, maybe blitzchung can just stodge up the board enough, though, to keep this in check? As soon as he finds Plague of Wrath, it's dead anyway, right? So blitzchung's game plan here is stall,
he has enough taunts,
stall.
And there's 1 stance been gone already.
It's like Attack on Titan all of a sudden, just beating on the gates here.
It's just a Funky's like... just gets chomped in half by Light Warden. God, that first episode of that show was so grim.
Intense.
That
Bright Funky is definitely the Armin of the Hearthstone world, I like to say.
Okay. I mean, either way, an Inner Fire is going to hurt. It has to be our Megadillo, right?
Unless you want to tank 19, sorry, 21 minimum.
I don't think I do want to tank that, right? I mean, it buffs the Mogu as well, right?
Crazy.
Oh, the Moshog, sorry, not Mogu. It's too much Shaman play. I mean, am I missing
He
something?
can tank it. Like, he doesn't have to play it on this turn. If he wants to be greedy and try and get another buff next turn.
I mean, he can.
Glory, of course, does at any point have the possibility to go for topsy-turvy if he's on his damage minion to flip it so that it doesn't die to the Plague of Wrath. But that would, of course, mean he has to do it on a turn where there's not
damage.
3 out of the 5 hero powers, right? Because 1 damage, 1/1s,
and also he has
damage.
Nephicet, right? He can do that any turn he wants anyway. But I think now, if there's a plague, there's a plague. You know, I think that's Glory's approach. Is like, if he's got it, whatever. Like, oh.
Ha! Laughable. 10 damage on a battle cry.
1 drop there. Yeah. It's the ultimate glow up, isn't it? The high school reunion, the Light Warden says, "Hi, Omega Devastator."
Yeah, I mean, this
you
is...
bullied me in high school.
This is less you've come back to high school and you own a large tech company. This is more you've become a literal god of the sun.
You're just the king of the world.
Yeah, like, is that Kyle? I am Ra now. Right, Kyle, you little dweeb.
Ash.
Take this, Tanner.
Oh. Oh, a taunt from Glory isn't so bad, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so funny that top 2 actually doesn't do anything because the Light Warden's going to stay on exactly the same, or at least for now, even health.
Ooh. More taunts coming through for blitzchung. He doesn't have the card he needs in the Plague or the Brawl.
What a ridiculous game of
Hearthstone. This might be enough.
He's just going to kill him!
However, Pyro being saved kills off the Divine Shield here.
And he can flip the health to only 4.
I don't think that matters. Because he'd have to attack through anyway, right? I think.
He only has 2 spells.
He could go Pyro Topsy then in a fire. Or just Pyro. Yeah, Pyro Topsy in a fire to make it a 4/4. To preserve some health total. Oh, it's just 4 attacking. Yeah, that makes sense. With the top deck of it.
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. Yeah. 5. Trade has that.
That's not what he's looking for. Yeah, Mecha Rouge.
Is he going to go for the Mechathune out? We're getting close to the end of the deck. Mechathune out being deal 10 damage to face. Oh, 2 more.
Oh, 2 Wardens, more taunts. More taunts. Glory's just going to die.
Taunt is cheat. What a... All because of that early silence.
Silence is gone from the deck, right? Are there any outs?
I don't think so. I mean, there aren't even many cards.
Yeah,
Never mind outs.
I am almost out of cards.
It's just game, right? Fire, heal.
He can inner fire the Harrison.
Well, if he inner fires, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
To stay alive.
Okay, technically alive.
Yeah.
But now the 2 more.
He can even Topsy as well if he needs. But
the 2 more dead.
Maybe he's hoping that that Blitzchung picked unpowered Steambot or whatever the card's called, the 0/9 taunt.
Or just didn't get a taunt. Oh no, he discovered the taunt. Sorry, it's Flunky. I thought. Sorry. I thought it was the hero power.
Right.
With the mech. Apologies. Yeah, it's Flunky. So yeah, I guess he just hopes he.
Woo. I think that's just it though.
What a marathon! Match number 1. We've got 6 of these today. And after all that, so close.
Wow.
But so far. Blitzchung starts the fight back with an extra win on the board for him, going up to a 2-7 score, and probably a lot of relief, as well as just sheer fatigue right now through that match. That was insane.
Right, and for Blitzchung there, obviously it's imperative that he finds a win now at a 1-7 scoreline. Every win is crucial to avoid relegation. But I wonder if this is one of the instances where Hearthstone players often talk about they'd rather play well and lose than play badly and win. And I'd love to get his thought as to how he played that last game. But I think we're both in agreement that we did not like the line of play that he took there in that series. It put him with way too many chances to just lose the game on the spot, whereas he could have, I think, locked it out in a much more convincing fashion had he gone with some other lines of play, just clearing off the board on that one crucial turn. And honestly, that was not in my opinion, that was not the kind of play I think that is deserving of a good scoreline in Grandmasters.
I think for me, it's just what would worry me was you can see how a game can snowball out of control by one thing.
Let it.
And if there was just not a taunt drawn on any of those turns, that would have been game.
Yeah.
Would have been very savage. But we have Blitzchung standing by now, I believe, so we can talk to him about it. Hey, Blitzchung, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, well, congratulations on the win. Good job. We've got a lot to talk about with that match, actually, but I want to go straight to the recent, so we'll go in reverse order, I guess. Me and Derek were just wondering, in that priest game, when you chose to go into Dr. Boom and not clear the board, what was your thought pattern behind that? Because at least in my experience, if I ever leave a priest minion up when I can clear them, I normally die. And it came very close to you doing the same.
Yeah, I think that was a bad choice. But the only thing I was concerning was first he didn't use any Divine Spirit yet.
Sure.
So and the second thing is I have Brawl on my hand, so I just feel like I could take the risk, but maybe that was wrong.
It scares me a lot with Priest. I want to ask you as well about the Warrior Mirror. What do you think of that matchup? Because I feel like almost every player we watch plays it in a slightly different way. And the matchup definitely, especially towards the end, felt very back and forth between you and Glory. So just what do you think about the matchup in general? How do you like to approach it?
In general, I would play the Velo game, just get as much Velo as I can. Okay. And that's how I play it.
So I guess less about specific games. I want to know, we saw last week Fino got his first win in Season 2 of Grandmasters, and he was saying he thinks, he just wasn't playing well enough, and that's why he was losing. This clearly has not gone that well for you so far in terms of your win rate in Grandmasters. Why do you think that is? Because I have to be honest, I don't think you've been bringing decks that are that bad. I don't think you've been playing that bad. I definitely don't think you've been playing at a 2-7 scoreline. So what is happening here for you to have such a poor win rate?
I refilled my past matches, and among the 7 loss, I feel like there are 2 to 3 matches that I definitely could have done better to win the series, and then there are 2 or 3 matches that it's just unwinnable.
Yeah.
You're just killing wrong order, and the hand is just not good enough to win a favorite matchup. And also, in the APEC meta now is really like everyone is playing the same deck. You can observe that. Like everyone blinks through combo plays, almost everyone, and then a control warrior, and then the 4th deck will just usually up to what that player loves to play. And then when everyone brings very similar deck and when people don't make mistake, it is very tough,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. It gets very down to just the tiny line, doesn't it, when a lot of the matchups or lineups are mirrors. But we feel like we've been growing you a little bit. But honestly, congratulations on the win. I imagine you feel really good to just take a win on day 1 of this week.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll speak to you later, blitzchung. Have a good weekend. Okay, and I do get his point. It's something I've talked to you about. We talked at the start of the show where I feel like because so many of the lists are so similar, the lineups are so similar in Asia-Pacific week on week.
Yeah.
It is hard, right? Like, if I said to you, you're playing a tournament, but all the lineups are just mirrors, you'd be like,
where do I get my edge?
I'd be scared anyway.
Yeah.
And it's what I talked about. I'd like to see just something different there to throw people off. Yeah. And we do have that a little bit when we get. I don't think Staz isn't playing today, but when we get to Staz, we can talk about that because he's got a little bit of spice as well as Rivius as always. But I feel like overall, it's. Maybe the players are too afraid to submit something a bit different because it's like, well, I know these decks are good. And it's like, right, but a mirror match is good? Because I'd be terrified of mirror matches above all else.
And I think this is something I've been thinking about a lot, and I'm going to get on my soapbox about, is that I think Asia-Pacific as a region doesn't believe in itself enough right now. But I do. I believe in Asia-Pacific as a region. I think that they are... The players, I say we, I'm not an Asia-Pacific player. The Asia-Pacific players, I think, should be trend-setting more. They're copying the European deck list for the most part. Right. We're seeing a bunch of warriors here that are just net-decking Hunter Ace from the last few weeks. That's what a load of players have been doing. They've just been net-decking Hunter Ace's decks, which obviously, he's at 7-1. It's not
the worst strategy I've ever seen.
But I think players could find more of an edge if they believe in the slightly weird decks they're playing and pilot them well. we've seen the player who has been most willing to do that in Staz has had an incredible few weeks of Hearthstone. He went very, very well, got through to the playoffs in the Season 1 of Grandmasters, had a great run through Masters Tour Seoul, has been doing pretty well so far as well in Season 2 of Grandmasters. And I think if other players were also a bit more brave with their submissions, we'd see a more interesting metagame and players taking the risk, finding an edge.
Yeah, you also see just a little bit from, you see Rivius and Shaxi as well, so historically very strong players. Shaxi, one of the best players in Season 1, doing all right this season. Rivius doing pretty good too, and they do their own thing, and it throws people off, I think. Like, you can't, if everyone's so locked in to just the same set of deck lists, and then someone just brings something else, you're like, oh, I'm not really prepared for this in any way. So there's some edge somewhere. But before we go on and rant for too long, we should probably move on. We've got a lot of matches to get through today. So